Hello everyone, welcome back to the Resilient Fitness Revolution. I'm your host Dibs, and I am so excited today that I get to interview one of my friends, Renée Yoxon. Welcome, Renée.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Thank you for talking with me this morning. And so basically, I love Renée so much, and I think they're a very cool person, and they speak so eloquently, and they speak for a living, so I thought, why not have them on my show? And you can speak to my people, and my people can talk to your people.
It sounds
and
great.
We can, we can inspire millions one day.
Love.
So Renée, first things first, can you, not to be rude, I feel like it's very rude to just straight up ask this to someone that you just met, but since you know each other, tell me a little bit about you and some demographics about yourself. What makes your life easier? What makes your life harder? Where are you from? How old are you? What are your, give me as much as you're willing to divulge to the audience.
Let me just real quick tell you my whole life story. So my name is Renée Yoxon. My pronouns are they, them. I'm non-binary. I'm 36 years old, 36 and a half, just recently. Still
Happy
celebrating
half
birthdays. Thank you. I live in Montreal. What makes my life harder? I have had chronic pain since I was about 20 years old, so I'm 36 now. It's been about 16 years. But in the last 5 years, it's been like a lot more manageable. I'm excited to talk about that with you today and how exercise has been a part of that. I figured we'll touch on that, but it's so interesting to I used to really identify closely with disability, and now I feel like a little less claim to that word that I used to. So, our identities are shifting and changing all the time. And then what makes my life easier? I live alone in pretty secure housing in an apartment that's soundproof, so I can do my job here and make a lot of noise and run around and play piano and exercise here. So that's me.
Yes. It's really interesting that you said disability. You're starting to sort of go away from disability. I'm on the opposite journey right now. I'm going more towards feeling like I identify with that word.
Sure.
But I just think it's amazing how you're doing these 5K races plus, and you're starting to run and whatever, which is anyone to me that runs at all, I'm like, wow, amazing. I hate it. So do you want to? I wanted to start working back, but how about we start I'll give you very specific chunks to talk about the last 16 years. Mm-hmm. So just specifically in the last, from your chronic pain journey, tell me about the chunks of time, or if it's been a long chunk of time that you've been exercising or not exercising, and what sort of movement have you been doing over that time?
Oof, yeah, big question. So, okay, I'm going to exactly do the opposite of what you just said and talk about before my chronic pain journey. But before I had chronic pain, I was a dancer. So for all of my teen years, I did hip hop dancing a couple times a week. And I really loved doing that. It was a high intensity sort of workout. And I remember when I really knew I had chronic pain was when I had been away from dance for a few years. I had gone to do other things with my life. And then I came back to it just for fun, just to try it out. And I limped home from that class. And I was like, oh, I can't do this anymore. That was when it really hit me like a ton of bricks that my life had fundamentally changed, or my body had fundamentally changed. And that was when I was maybe 20 years old, about 20, right at the start of the journey. And then it was years that I didn't exercise at all because there was nothing I could barely keep it together. I could barely do my job. I was a professional musician at the time. All of my energy went into just baseline maintenance, and less I was doing things like walking unaided. It wasn't until I want to say 2017 that I was able to start working out again. Let's see, when I was 20, what year would that have been? 2010. So it was wait, that doesn't make sense. I don't know years, but the point is, it was it was a long time. It was 5 or 6 years that I didn't exercise at all, and then I started to do it again. But it was a really slow journey of looking for things that would work for my body and wouldn't cause flares.
Well, yeah, I'm really curious
over
about
and
that.
over
Like,
again.
when you started it again, was it out of your own, like, you know, your own research, or did you see a certain doctor or a chiro or a physio or a friend? Like, what inspired you to start again?
Well, I have always been the type to like push the boundaries to find out where the boundaries can be pushed to, you know, like I will push into a little flare and then, okay, that was too far. We got to spend 2 weeks recovering, and then we push a little bit more. So I was inspired probably just because I got frustrated. Like, I wanted to make a change, and I wanted to find a way that was accessible to me for exercise. And so I actually went on a Facebook group here in Montreal called Montreal Freak Fam Jobby Jobs, which is like,
I'm familiar with that
this
job. My first job from that group.
Yeah, right. And I probably posted something like, hey, I'm disabled pretty severely, can't walk without a mobility aid, really want to get back into exercise, looking for someone who can come to my house for an hour a week and help me. And a dancer came who also had chronic illness, who had Ehlers-Danlos disorder, and so she was like really familiar with what exercises we could do that wouldn't aggravate my pain. But she was also really willing to collaborate with me. So she would come over and we would try a bunch of different things, and it was like, no, I can't bear any weight on that. We have to change this exercise. And so she would make things up on the spot, change things with me. It was really beautiful, this collaboration.
That's awesome. I mean, that's sort of what I'm doing now with a lot of people, and, you know, for short-term and long-term disabilities. And I think it's something that's really lacking in the professional fitness world and a lot of gyms and places like that. And I mean, like, you can find it, but people are just really shy to ask for that extra help. So I'm glad you did ask, and, you know, and then the universe gave you received the assistance.
I'm so grateful. And I feel like I have been working for years to get to this point I'm at now, which is like most people's starting point. Like, I'm finally at the bottom. You know what I mean?
It took I don't think you're at the bottom at all, but yes.
But, you know, I still can't do things like run continuously. I still find idle standing challenging. I still have pain flares, you know. It's still a part of my life. It's just not, I'm able to do a lot more than I could before, you know.
Yeah, no, I think that you're doing a lot of stuff. And so, okay, so then you saw that person. How long did you meet up with her for?
I can't remember. It was maybe a year that she came over every week, and then I went away to Ireland, and I kept doing her workouts from there. I brought my what do you call those big balls that you blow up?
The Swiss ball, yeah.
A Swiss ball. I put that in my suitcase to take
That's
to Ireland.
hilarious.
I was like, I'm taking everything I need. I need to continue improving. I brought all my stretch bands.
You don't want to lose your progress. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, so I stopped seeing her then and continued on my own. And I was also empowered by that point to like look up new exercises and integrate new things and try new things.
Okay. And that was like when you're mid or late 20s-ish?
I would have been like 30 years old.
Okay, 30 at that point. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, like, how did you get into running? When did that happen?
Well, okay, so first we need to talk about Ireland.
Yeah, give me the Ireland section.
I really like
Chapters.
credit Ireland with like fixing me. I know that's probably not what actually happened. I don't know what
Live,
actually
laugh,
happened.
love.
Nobody nobody knows what really happened. But I had this like unexplainable, I didn't say what actual chronic pain I have, but I have chronic sacroiliac joint dysfunction. So my left SI joint was always inflamed, and it made it so that I couldn't bear any weight on my left leg kind of ever. And I used canes and I used rollators, and I brought my rollator with me to Ireland, but it was really affected by the weather. And so when in Montreal we have a lot of like barometric pressure shifts, so we get like low pressure systems before the rain, and I would go into bad flares at that time, along with everyone else who had like knee injuries or whatever. But Ireland, where I was anyway, in Limerick, doesn't really have that kind of weather. Like there, it's always raining, so there isn't like low pressure systems. So I feel like I just had a year break from the constant cycle of like flares and trying to recover from flares. And so throughout that year, I walked more and more and more. And by the end of the year, like I went there with my mobility aid, my rollator, and I was using it every day. And by the time I left, I was able to walk a kilometer without my mobility
You almost forgot to pack it.
You know what I mean? Well,
Yeah.
and just like a couple weeks ago, I put it into storage for the first time. And I'm like,
Virtual 5.
I know. It feels unreal. I can't believe I stored my rollator. Like, Yeah,
that's very
big.
cool. I love that.
So anyway, that's what happened. Was I started walking
Uh-huh.
in Ireland.
You just needed a sea change.
I guess
Literally.
So. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so you started walking, and then you got back here, and then you were just like, all right, I can walk, so I guess the next step is to run.
Well, the thing is, I've always had like a little fascination with running, and I think it comes from not being able to walk for years.
Yeah.
It's like I can't. The thing is, during my bad chronic pain years, I could always do stuff. I just paid for it, and so I learned not to do stuff. And I would be running, and I was like, it just felt so amazing to like run down the street, the wind in the face. Like I felt like I was doing something dangerous, and like, and then of course I would like not be able to function for 2 weeks after. So like it really literally was dangerous and not allowed. But every year, on Halloween, I would download Zombies Run, the app,
Lol.
and I would do the first episode. And I did that in like 2017, 2018, 2019. And it wasn't until 2022, like springtime of 2022, that I was like, okay, enough Zombies Run. Like, I want to try and run again. And I would do like the Couch to 5K, but with the slowest, lightest step. Like, it's basically walking, but just a tiny bit more. And I was doing that so that I wouldn't like cause a flare or anything like that. And I've just been able to grow that slowly since then.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, for a lot of my clients with chronic pain, like that's basically what we have to do. I know you're like, oh, I like to push the boundaries, but like you have to, you literally have to find that edge, and you have to constantly be working towards that edge. It's just like for someone who doesn't experience chronic pain, I explain to them how, when people tell me, oh, exercise just feels like it never gets any easier, and I'm always out of breath, I always feel like I'm like, it's because you're constantly finding your new edge. You have a new edge every week.
It doesn't get any easier.
It doesn't get easier. You have to be, that's the point of fitness. You need to be finding, we used to run from lions. we have to find that, like, that thing that makes us want to push faster and breathe to our maximum capacity. And like I think it's scarier for someone with chronic pain, because when you do find the edge, like you said, it takes you out for a week or two, depending on what your thing is. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I mean, do you think, you just said yes, it is worth it, right, to you?
Well, yeah, of course. The thing is, though, with like my chronic pain, and with most people with chronic pain, is that the pain is meant to be like this thing that tells you that injury is imminent. And I always liken it to this like ineffective smoke alarm. It's like your smoke alarm in your house is supposed to tell you when something is on fire, but if it always goes off when you're just making toast, then you might not leave your house when there's a fire. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You hear the alarm and you're like, well, it's probably just the toast. But actually, whoops, your house is on fire.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens to people with chronic pain all the time. You are like listening to your body and you're hearing the pain signals and you're like, okay, well, probably I'm fine. But sometimes you're not fine. And sometimes you actually do cause injury because your pain system is not working the way it's supposed to. So
really
it's
great
worth
analogy.
it, but you have to be mindful also.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Really, really mindful.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the same, like, even with able-bodied people and, like, my clients who don't have chronic pain, like, I think people, the most of the time when people injure themselves, it is because they're not being mindful, or they think, I've lifted this before, and I'll just drag it over this way, or, and as we age, we can't do things like we used to, so you have to really be, you have to be in the moment when you're exercising, and you have to always be thinking about your form, even if you've done that thing 1,000 times before. Like, I know, I'm feeling it, I'm 29 now. But no, like, I definitely, I used to, in my early 20s, I didn't have to warm up. I could do, like some clapping push-ups and some burpees and squats and whatever. I wouldn't pull a muscle. And now, my hamstrings are getting tight. I have to warm up before I do things.
I do have the benefit of never having had a youth like that. So for me, it's like only getting more positive.
Right. Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, it's great. Exactly. But so, okay. So we're building up. Running is feeling great for you. And like, tell me some of your achievements. Okay, put the rollator away, amazing. But you've got some medals.
Medals, stop participation medals. Yeah. So the first accomplishment was I did the 5K at the Montreal Marathon. They have a bunch of different races, and I did the 5K. It was a walk run. I still haven't achieved like being able to run continuously for 5 kilometers. But I never thought that I would be able to even walk 5 kilometers. Like, I have a very clear memory of going to see a chiropractor in Ottawa and her asking me, like, what's your goal? Just tell me your, like, big goal for your physical fitness. And I was like, I just want to be able to walk to the mall. And there's a mall that's like literally 900 meters away from my house. And she was like, that's your goal? And I don't think she understood like just how limited I was, and how freeing it would be to be able to get to that mall, because there was a bunch of stuff there. And
there's stuff at malls.
You know what I mean? You need to buy things, you have to leave your house to get it. Like you really feel like stuck at home when you need to get everything delivered, and it's a whole thing. So to be able to walk 1 kilometer would have been amazing. To walk 5 kilometers? Oh my God, I didn't think I could ever do that.
Incredible.
Just last Sunday, I walked 10 kilometers in 2 hours. Yeah,
were you just walking for funsies? Did you go somewhere?
No, I was like, I planned a route. I was like, I'm going to do 10 kilometers today. This is the day it's happening.
And you did it.
And I sweat my face off, and I felt...
It was hot.
This is the thing, though, because I had so many years of not being able to walk, for me, walking 10 kilometers, I'm not like, oh, this sucks, it's so tired. I'm just like delighted the entire time.
Exactly. It makes a difference.
Wow, this is amazing.
I mean, that's a key for a lot of things in life. You should start thinking about how grateful you are for what you do have, or what you do have access to. And I think that's the key to, well, I mean, especially for people who have injuries that are either going to be a permanent injury or a temporary injury. I think that the key is, with any type of moving your body, is, okay, figure out what you do have to work with, figure out what you can do, and work with that. And then either perfect that and strengthen that as much as you can, or along the way you're going to unlock new movements and new abilities, like you just said. So
absolutely,
I'm like really stoked for you.
Thanks. So the other accomplishment was that I did the 5K again a year later, but I had top surgery between those 2 5Ks, so I did way less training. For the first one, I trained like a beast because I was so afraid. Yeah. The second time I did it with a very little training, and I wasn't afraid. And for me, that was like, I had about the same time. Like I was like, oh my God, I can do this without really thinking about it as much. Like that was major. Yeah. And since then, I've had another surgery, so I feel like I could probably be further ahead if I hadn't had 2 surgeries.
You're just like, I feel great. I'm packing my rollator up. I'm gonna get chopped up, baby. Let's go.
Literally, let's go. But I'm hoping now that I'm done with surgeries, touch wood, no more surgeries. I'm hoping to, there are things I want to be able to do. I'd like to be able to run continuously for 5 kilometers. I'd like to be able to run a 10K next. And my big, giant dream is to spend my 40s traveling the world, running marathons. But I would take half marathons, universe. That's what I want to do with my time.
Now you've got a way bigger dream. See, you go from, I want to walk 900 meters to the mall, to I'm going to run half marathons and marathons around the world. Like, in, how long of a time span between you when you're saying that and now? Like 10 years?
Yeah, 10 years.
Good job. Well done.
Thank you.
See?
We should talk in another 10 years and see if
see what happens, mate. You're going to be like, I don't know, freaking with the Red Bull jetpack team. Like, I don't know. What you're
I doubt it, but whatever does happen, I'm so grateful. Even if I take a step back, like who knows? I could I could get another disability. Anything could happen. But I'm just so grateful for where I'm at now. Like I didn't think I would be able to do this.
Yeah, and you're going to be doing great things. Like even if you get another disability, I know you're so creative and you're very determined. You're going to be like figuring out a way to do the things. I'm always like very. I'm proud of you. You should be.
Aww. Well, you had a big hand in it too. I started taking your classes last year. Do you remember?
I mean, I wasn't going to bring it up, but...
Okay. You should. Because I remember the first time I attended your class, I tried to lift weights, and I got such bad, I don't know what happened, flushed, or my heart rate raced too fast that I had to lie down for 20 minutes.
I remember you felt ill. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, nauseous.
It's okay. You're not the only one that's happened to. That happened to a couple people. It actually happened with a guy, cis guy that is, I don't know, in his 30s and doesn't have any illnesses or whatever, and he's not used to lifting weights, he's a cardio guy, and so he came in, he was like, I'm feeling great, let's do it, and was just pushing to 100, and then, at the end he felt real sick, so, it's great that you can do something, but you've got to build up.
You really do.
You got to not get too excited. But I'm glad, you kept going, you went to a few classes.
Quite a few.
Yeah. And was that sort of tell me more about how I played a part? What did joining the classes do to you? Was that an unlocking of, I'm able to do this? Did you need that in? How did that help?
Yeah, that class really made me feel normal, which maybe that's a weird thing to say, but I frequently feel like I'm not welcome in not just fitness spaces, but all spaces, because they're inaccessible, there's stairs, there's I don't know, just there's lots of reasons why I don't feel welcome as a disabled person into spaces. So just to go to a place that was like explicitly like, no, at all levels, all abilities, come on down. And it truly felt that way. Like when I was there, I didn't feel, even though the first day I needed to take a break, after that I kept coming back and improving, which was really remarkable. Since I've like decided that I just prefer to work out by myself and also just not to have a commute. That's the only reason I don't come to classes anymore. If it was in my living room, I would be there.
Well, you know, I have my online classes and I'm going to add another one when I move. So
Thank you. But it was just like so like empowering and it just normalized the whole experience for me, which was beautiful.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And a lot of people who have had the same experience of you, of like, you know, going in and being like wiped and then coming back, have the same, it's so worth it, you know, like people who come back, it's happened a couple of times that, you know, they've been overwhelmed or they felt like a bit ill or whatever, and they come back and then it's exponentially easier after that. And I think that's really important that, you know, like when I explain what consistency is to my clients, it doesn't mean like you have to go to the gym and perform at 100% of your capacity, you know, you're 3-4 times a week, every freaking week for the rest of your life. It just means you keep trying, like, you know, you have a break,
keep showing up.
You just keep showing up. You keep showing up. It's not like you have one failure and then you're like, okay, I quit gym, I'm gonna pause and see if there's something else that I like. Like you just keep going.
100%. Like I thought that, you know, I'm always trying to push the boundaries and I'm pretty consistent in the practices that I have, as you know. But when I went to Mexico for 6 months, like I didn't really exercise. I tried to run a few times and I was like, this isn't the vibe. I'm here to drink margaritas. And like I was really just there to party and make friends. And I did that for 6 months. And then I came back and thought, I'm going to get back on my exercise train, but then immediately had surgery. So now I'm back on my exercise train. But I don't mind taking like seasons off from exercise and then coming back. Like it's just part of it.
Yeah, and it is like, you know, your body has muscle memory, and like you'll notice that as you, I don't know if you've noticed now, even coming out of surgery, like getting back into things, every time you get back into it, it becomes easier than the last time you took a break, right?
Yes, my like pace for running, even though I feel like I always feel like I'm starting over from zero, especially with running. But when I look back where I was a year ago, it's the same. It's the exact same. I'm really not far behind at all.
Yeah.
I'm only going to improve from here.
I think people just really get in their head about not being the same. And I'm like, no, but like you are the same. It just feels like, no, you're not, because you want to be, I don't know, you've taken a break and maybe it feels harder, but you're still doing the same thing. Like, and even if you're not, it doesn't take very long to build it back up. And I think, you know, like you're saying, like we underestimate what we can do in 1 year, but we have no idea. We overestimate the other way around. You know, in 1 year we're like, oh my God, I should be doing all this stuff. And then we look at like 10 years, you're like, holy cow, you know, 900 meters to 5K / I want to do a half marathon. You know, so
we're not there yet.
Yes, but that's, you know, now your brain, at least your mind has been opened up to that opportunity.
Oh yeah, I think it gets easier as you get older too. Like when you're, you know, in your 20s, it's hard to imagine the power of 10 years of work.
Yeah.
And also how fast that goes. And then you turn 36 and it's like, oh God, I've been doing this for 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And now I like to think on those scales. Like, you know, it took me 5 years to learn to speak Spanish. Well, I'm only 36. I could learn another however many languages.
Exactly.
And the time's going to pass anyway, you know?
Yeah, may as well do something with it.
Exactly.
And so speaking more about like, you know, finding my class and different gym spaces and stuff like that, like had you attempted to go to another commercial gym or classes before in the past, and like what's been the vibe? What's happened?
Yeah, a couple of times in my life I've attempted to go to commercial gyms, but I like so long ago as to be like lost to the annals of history. I think I vaguely remember just feeling like, why do people come here? Because this is just a me thing, but I prioritize like aesthetics of my space over like most like functionality and other things.
I have noticed.
Yeah, like one of my main complaints about gyms, I'm like, why can't we get a nice lamp in this piece? Like, what the heck? Okay. So for me, like the overhead lighting and the music and like all the machines, it's just like I don't enjoy that. And I mean, I know that sounds silly because the machines are there for a reason, but if I don't love being somewhere, the idea of going there 3-4 times a week is like a non-starter. I would much rather be in my space with a few hand weights and some stretch bands, and maybe it's not as effective as like whatever machine is in the gym, but it's, for me, again, I'm starting from so far behind zero that it's like perfect.
No, you can do so much with so little, and it's harder to start off when you don't have that much stuff, because body weight is truly harder than lifting weights, and so if you don't have many weights, it's harder to get into it. But like, there are so many calisthenics athletes that have put on so much muscle just from using their own body. So I don't think it's not as good of a workout, but it works for you.
Well, yeah.
And that's
I've been
amazing.
Acquiring things slowly over the years, like especially in the pandemic years, the early years, like there were so much people like doing at home workouts. So I got some guy made me concrete dumbbells.
I had those. I still have them.
I got a stationary bike. I just acquired a bench a few weeks ago, and all these things over the years. It's been like whatever I need, I'll acquire.
Yeah, just keep building stuff. That's awesome. And like, so before you were doing, let's go way back. Let's go to when you were a little egg. Before hip hop, like, did you, were you the type of kid that skipped gym class? Did you do it and hate it? Were you in any team sports? Like, what did you do growing up?
Yeah, I have an early childhood memory of trying out for soccer in the 6th grade and not getting in, which I think is insane. Like, shouldn't all children play
all 6th graders?
Like, what the heck? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, that's a bit, now that I think of it, that's weird.
It's so weird, yeah. So no, I didn't do any team sports. I started dancing when I was 11, so that was like the thing I did as a child. I have vague memories of track and field, but not like, just like, the day we do track and field and gym.
Yeah, you
I would
just
go
have
to
to
gym.
do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have any like. I wasn't like dreading gym class, but I preferred band class essentially. I think I was also set back in high school because I broke my arm right before starting the 9th grade, so I couldn't take gym or band. I had to do all the nerd stuff in the first semester.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
9th grade.
I know.
Yeah, that's a hard one to have a boo-boo in school. I'm lucky that I broke my collarbone before I started school, so.
But it meant I couldn't apply for any of the sports or anything like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to at that age. And that's like, that 9th grade, that for us, that's like, in Canada, that's like the beginning of high school. So it sort of sets the tone for the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then you sort of, no one sees you as a sporty kid. They're like, oh, that broken one over there.
That's right.
I'm not going to pick that one for the team. Oh man, I need to get this person back on the podcast who I had this conversation with. I need to remember who it was, about their family being really against fitness in general. I think it was one of my Australian friends. I need to call them. But like, how has your family interacted? Like your parents and the people closer to you, cousins, siblings, whatever. How have they reacted to fitness like in their life? Is anyone really into it? Have they been like avoiding it? What's the vibe?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think about this a lot lately because my parents were not athletic really, like at all. We never did like sports as a family. We never biked as a family or anything like that. Like, they got me rollerblades if I wanted to, but as a family we were just like not very athletic. My sister though was a swimmer and did synchronized swimming. And I think in the way our family dynamic works, I always considered sports to be like her thing. And so I just was like liberated from sports. Like, she did swimming, she was a lifeguard, she did bodybuilding for a while. And so I just didn't need to touch swimming. That was Emma's thing. Yeah. But then later in life, it started to be something that we could bond over. So, she bought a Peloton. So I bought a Peloton. And then I would text her and be like, I just did a Peloton class. Oh, which one? And so that was like, they're all excited about it because it's something we can bond over. But my family also is like deeply aware of all the things I went through with my chronic illness. So they're all like super hyped for me to be doing anything. And in fact, it was my mom who was like, if you're not using your rollator, why don't you store it at our house and in case you need it again? Or so it's just like in their storage closet in Ottawa, because I don't have much storage here.
Yeah.
So my family's been very supportive, but yeah, we're not like a super athletic family or anything.
Yeah, right. And like, where are you getting your workouts from at the moment that you do at home?
I use an app called Runna, which I think is an Australian app. Runna.
I love that.
And they do like running plans as well as resistance training plans. And I've just been using that because it's pretty easy to follow. Yeah. But I have used a lot of other different things for resistance training. I went to a physiotherapist to work on the things that come up when you have never exercised and you start exercising. Like, I always knew that I favored my right side because of my left side injury. But when I started running, my right knee became really problematic. And so I've been going to physio for that. So I was doing her exercises. I also did some like YouTube. I think you and I did what did we do?
We did what, the Jane Fonda video?
Yes, the Jane Fonda video.
Did you?
Like I do that. Like you did that as a joke, but like I did that unironically.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. Sometimes they're fun. They're hard.
It's fun. I just wanted to be active, and if that means like, chair workout video 10 minutes on YouTube, like I don't care. I'll do whatever.
It's hard stuff. Yeah. People laugh, but like all of those
Jane Fonda is very challenging.
Yeah, it is very challenging, and like my auntie gave me at one point like the Shaun T Insanity workouts. Oh, have you heard of that?
No.
It's called Insanity for a reason. Like,
oh my God.
And he's got like Insanity, Beachbody. There's all these different series. Like, it is ridiculous. You just sweat so much, and you're done with the warm up, and you're like, the warm up. That was the warm up. Please help.
I love the videos like on YouTube. Like, there's so many free vintage videos. Like I did Richard Simmons. I did Ty
Yes,
Bo.
I love Richard Simmons.
Like I will do whatever. I don't discriminate. I'll do whatever.
As long as you're
I'll try
moving.
anything once. Exactly.
Yeah, I have a lot of clients actually that like to do dance videos from home in their basement. Just no one else is watching. Just turn the music up, go for it. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the whole point of joyful movement. That's what I'm trying to tell everyone. Like, if it works for you, and like you're doing this program, but you're also doing your fun little videos. You're doing running. You're doing your rehab stuff, and like you've made a lot of gains. Like, you don't have to do anything super fancy. I mean, it helps when you have a preliminary coach, or like you said, you were seeing at least a chiro or physio to help you work around like injuries and stuff like that. So I think that's you're lucky to be able to have had someone check up on you. But even if you don't, it's just like that trial and error. Try something.
Yeah. If
it hurts, or you're like, I'm not so sure how to do this, maybe don't do it.
I've definitely done like a dance video and then immediately tweaked my sciatic nerve and been like, oh, okay, you can't do that. And over time, I learned what kinds of movement are safe for me, and I know what to avoid now. And so it's much easier to make gains because I get fewer setbacks.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to keep note of that sort of stuff. And like with the app that you have now, do they have like videos for all of the movements, for the resistance movements, so you just know them by name?
Yes, they have videos for all the movements.
Yeah. Are you at the point where you can just read something and be like, I know what a flat dumbbell chest press is?
No, I have to look at the video every time.
Still watching
and I feel like my brain is just like, we're not going to store that. Sorry.
It knows, because it's like, this bitch got the video. We don't have to keep this knowledge.
No, I cannot keep that stuff in my head. I look it up every time. And it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. I know I have clients that have trained for like 10 years in a row, and I'm like, do you know where your lats are? And like they're like, no. Like, okay, here we go again. Fair enough. Well, is there like a message you want to send to people with chronic pain, if you want to speak to the people of the world, or is there anything that you want to blurt out that you're hoping you would say today that we haven't talked about?
I don't know. I guess I want people with chronic pain who are trying exercise to understand that every video online, or every person basically, maybe with you as the exception, who says like, this is for beginners. That's not you. And that's fine. Yeah. Like, every video out there is going to be too hard for you. Modify, modify, modify. If all you're doing is sitting in a chair and lifting your arms over your head, that's a great place to start. Like, don't let, like, I wish I could figure out a more succinct way to say this. Like, any amount of movement is positive, way smaller than you think always.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I agree, 100%. There's like, another different type of exercise from, that we call NEAT exercise, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, when you're still like, you're moving around, you're burning calories or whatever, but it's like not specific exercise. So like, even like if you're a fidgeter, you're bouncing your knee, you're moving,
That's it.
If you're playing with your hands, you're stretching at your desk, like you're moving. So anything, I 100% agree with that.
Can I just share one final little anecdote?
Yeah,
because you asked about my exercise in my early days of chronic pain, and I forgot until just now that I used to do aqua fit classes.
And how was that?
It was terrible, but also good. And the reason I remembered this is because you asked like about, well, I was just saying that, take it slow, and beginners it's not beginner for you. Well, I would go to these aqua fit classes 2 or 3 times a week at the Y. for elderly people, and all these old bitches were kicking my ass. And I had to like wear a floaty under my butt because even in the water, it was too much pressure on my foot.
Holy smokes.
It didn't reduce the resistance enough for me to be able to do the movements. So I would wheel myself out onto the pool deck.
Oh my gosh.
I swear to God, I would climb into the pool with my floaty, do the class to the best of my ability, and then hobble out. And that's fine. That got me moving. But all of the old people like were really confused about why I was the way I was. And that's just how it is when you're young and disabled, you know.
Yeah, people are like, why are you using that? Yeah.
Exactly.
So like, I guess, I totally agree with you with all of that stuff. And I am very appreciative of you sharing that story and like, you know, being not afraid to be like, you're going to start somewhere. And the whole, like beginners and people with disabilities, two different categories.
Two different categories.
Different categories.
Thank you, Dibs. So real. And thanks for giving me the space to have this conversation. I don't talk about my disabilities much anymore because it's not like central to the work that I do as much as it used to be. And so I really am appreciative of this space.
Oh, I love you so much.
I love you too.